Let me tell you something, I never thought I'd be the center of one of those stories that makes a neighborhood turn upside down overnight. But here we are, and if you ever wondered how quickly things can go off the rails when somebody wants the rules bent for them, well, buckle up, because this is one of those nights that started out ordinary and ended with the kind of fallout you only see in viral videos or at the bottom of the neighborhood Facebook page. You ever see someone so convinced the world should bend to them that they'll call the police just to make a point? Yeah, that happened. Right there at the entrance to Stonehaven Estates, Tempe, Arizona, with the sun burning down to a bruised purple and the desert heat finally letting up. It all started with the sound of the gates sliding shut, a hard, mechanical clank that echoed across the pavement, the kind of sound that tells you, okay, the day's officially over. I was tired, just trying to get home, briefcase dragging at my side. And there she was, Janice Kettleman, 61, hair pulled so tight into a bun I could practically hear it creak, HOA badge swinging from her cardigan like she expected a salute. She marched right over, clutching her purse in one hand and waving with the other. "Excuse me, sir," like she'd spotted a trespasser. I turned, hand on the key fob, ready to just nod and move on, but Janice had other plans. "Be a gentleman and open that gate for me. I left my card at home." You know, in another world, maybe I would have let it slide, but in this one, Stonehaven had rules, and they stuck them on us like superglue. "Sorry, ma'am. HOA rules say we can't let anyone in without a card or clearance. You'll have to call the guard station," I told her, just keeping my voice even. Janice blinked, like she couldn't believe anyone would tell her no. "I've lived here for decades. I'm on the board," she said, voice already climbing. "You're seriously not letting me in?" I just shrugged, trying to keep it simple. "Rules apply to everyone, ma'am. Not risking a fine because someone doesn't have their card. Security will let you in if you give them your address." Her face turned a shade redder, and I could see it. Right then, this wasn't about a gate anymore. This was about being challenged. She wasn't used to no. Not from me, not from anyone. So she pulled out her phone, thumb already dialing, and said, "If you won't let me in, I'll call the police. Let them sort it out. Let me back up a sec. Imagine you're me, standing there, tired, hungry, just wanting to get home, and suddenly you're the villain in someone else's emergency." I almost laughed, but not because it was funny, more like disbelief. "You're really going to call 911 because I followed the rules?" I asked her, but she was already talking to dispatch. Now here's where things went sideways. On the other end of that 911 call was Tanya Ridgemont, dispatcher, calm, professional, and, as fate would have it, my wife. She'd heard 100 stories that night. Car accidents, shoplifting, a domestic, all real emergencies. But suddenly, this one cut through. "There's a man here, African-American, mid-40s, blocking me from entering my own neighborhood. He's acting suspicious." Tanya sat up straighter, pen hovering over her pad, heart thumping. She knew exactly who the suspicious man with the briefcase and tired eyes was. But Tanya couldn't break protocol, couldn't just shout into the headset, "Ma'am, that's my husband." No, she had to stay neutral, even as Janice's voice spilled through the line. Accusations half true, fear painted over pride. "He's loitering. He's glaring. He's making me uncomfortable." Tanya kept her tone flat, but her heart hammered as she asked, "Has he threatened you, ma'am?" There was a long pause, and Janice finally snapped. "Not with words, but his attitude is threatening enough." I could hear every word. I wanted to interrupt, shout, anything, but I knew better. Words twist easy when fear is looking for proof. I just leaned against my car, arms folded, and waited. I glanced up at the gate camera. At least there'd be footage to back me up. Tanya, still at dispatch, scribbled in her notes. Caller's statement inconsistent. Subject cooperative. But that didn't mean she wasn't scared. Scared for me. Scared of what could happen next. Meanwhile, 2 officers rolled up. Glenn Ortega, solid, 10 years on the Tempe force, and Rachel Bowers, newer, sharp-eyed. The cruiser lights painted the gate in blue and red, and Janice, seeing her cavalry arrive, waved her arms like a referee at the Super Bowl. "That's the man. He refused to let me in," she said, pointing at me. I kept my hands visible, driver's license ready, didn't move. "Evening, officers. Name's Maurice Dunley. I live right here, 3 blocks inside, just coming home from work." Ortega and Bowers exchanged glances, Checked my ID, compared the address. Ortega nodded. It checks out. Janice's face flushed deeper. She'd expected backup, but not validation for me. She tried again. He was rude, dismissive, loitering instead of helping. Officer Bowers glanced over at her, then back at me. Ma'am, did he ever touch you or block your path physically? Any verbal threats? Janice faltered. No, but his presence was intimidating. Bowers shook her head. That's not grounds for an emergency call, ma'am. The tension crackled in the air. Neighbors had started to gather. Porch lights flicked on. Phones came out. Janice tried to rally the crowd. Do you think this is how a homeowner should behave? Blocking me from where I have every right to go? I just looked at her. What part of following the rules makes me suspicious? I didn't block you, threaten you. I told you what everyone already knows. You need a card. A man from across the street called out. Sounds like common sense to me. A woman chimed in. You fined us for this exact thing last month, Janice. The crowd shifted. The story was slipping out of Janice's hands. Even the officers felt it. Bowers crossed her arms, voice flat. Misusing 911 is a serious matter, ma'am. You could be cited. Janice's authority drained away with every second. She tried to save face. So I'm just supposed to stand here and be made a fool of? I said quietly. No one made you a fool. You did that when you turned this into something it never was. The silence was thick, everyone feeling it. Nobody quite sure what to say. Then came the twist. One of the neighbors, a young guy in a baseball cap, phone still up, spoke out. This is why nobody trusts the HOA. Rules for us, but special treatment for the board. That landed hard. Janice blushed, caught off guard, realizing she wasn't just losing an argument. She was losing the crowd. Ortega and Bowers told me I was free to go, handed back my ID, and as I moved to leave, Janice shot. This isn't over. You can't just embarrass me and walk away like nothing happened. I turned back, calm, but clear. You're right. People will remember this. Just maybe not the way you think. And man, was that the truth. By the next morning, the videos were online. Janice's voice, her people like him, line, the crowd murmuring, the officers trying to keep the peace. Comments poured in, some harsh, others harsher. This is what happens when power gets to your head. Good on Maurice for keeping calm. Calling 911 over a gate card, really? HOA President Gerald Miles called Janice, told her point blank. You called the police because someone wouldn't break the rules? That's not defiance, that's compliance. If anything, you're out of line. She hung up on him, her grip on control cracking by the minute. That afternoon, HOA members demanded her resignation. Emails flew. Neighbors vented. Janice tried to fight back. I was just trying to protect the neighborhood. But context was already gone. The truth was in the video, in her own words, in the faces of neighbors who'd watched it all. At home, Tanya and I sat with our daughter. She'd seen the video on a friend's phone, asked, Daddy, why did that lady call the police on you if you didn't do anything wrong? That landed like a brick. I folded my hands, looked her in the eye. Sometimes, people make judgments without really knowing someone. And when they let those judgments take over, they make mistakes that hurt people. What matters is how we handle it. I stayed calm, told the truth, and the truth showed itself. Tanya added, and what you did taught her she never has to fight fire with fire. She can stand tall without shouting. Meanwhile, Janice faded from neighborhood life. No more HOA meetings, no more patrolling lawns, no more emails in all caps. Her authority, built over years, collapsed in a few hours. Some neighbors were relieved. Others just shook their heads. For me, it wasn't about her downfall. It was about what my family carried away and what the community saw. Dignity is louder than accusation, and the truth, when held firmly, always surfaces. Weeks went by. Some neighbors stopped me, said, We're with you. Others looked away, embarrassed. Tanya, back at dispatch, admitted, If I hadn't known it was you, I might have believed her at first. Seeing it play out was eye-opening. That's what we take from this. You can't control what people assume, but you can control how you respond. And sometimes, that changes more than you think. I don't want to be remembered for what Janice did to me. I'd rather be remembered for how we stood through it, how we carried ourselves. So here's my ask. What kind of community do you want yours to be? Because this wasn't just about one argument at a gate. It was about what we do when we're put to the test. If you've ever been judged unfairly, or had someone try to paint you as something you're not, you know the choice. Let anger run wild, or stand steady and let the truth do its work. If this story hit home, if it reminded you of a moment you chose composure over chaos, share your thoughts below. What would you have done? And where do you think the line is between safety and suspicion, between authority and accountability? Because at the end of the day, it's not the accusation that defines us. It's how we respond.